we're going to talk about the second universal component of effective communication, which is empathy. Okay, this is putting yourself in another person's shoes, right, so to speak. Why is this important for communication? I mean, it seems kind of like a weird thing.
Yeah, you know, when we talk about the connection needed for actual communication to happen, if I'm receiving communication, so motive is about the giver, I think empathy is about the receiver in a lot of ways. Although I think empathy was helpful for the sender as well, when I get a message from Daryl, am I able to understand or put myself in that person's shoes to feel what they're feeling, imagine what may be motivating that person to communicate the way they're communicating? We talked about benefit of the doubt. I think when we're empathetic, we're actually trying to make a considerable effort to understand something from somebody else's perspective or point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And obviously, you know, kind of similar to motive, we can't necessarily know a lot about the other person's position, their circumstances, but I think the important part of empathy is considering the possibilities. Yeah. Okay, it's considering that there are possible circumstances that the other person is dealing with that we're not aware of. Okay, and it could be numerous. So just giving them some flexibility, giving them some grace because of what could be going on there.
Right. And I think that's, you know, that takes all these things. If you're going to do it well, it takes more effort. It's harder than just blasting something at somebody else and not caring how it's received or thinking about your motives. Or, I mean, that isn't communication. Yeah. That's just uncaring delivery of some type of information that, if you don't think about, will never communicate maybe what you wanted to communicate.
Yeah. So, you know, I was actually just thinking about this the other day, and I think this is where it fits. We live in a world of rampant communication, so to speak, with technology, social media or otherwise. I mean, we've got television, we've got 100 channels on the radio, we've got 1,000 channels on the television. We've got mobile devices in our pockets all the time. We've got phone calls. I mean, it's just constant.
Right.
And I think sometimes our technology requires more communication from us than what we're adequately able to prepare and create well. Because being mindful of our motive, being empathetic with our communication takes work. It takes time. And when we're blasting out, like you said, blasting out responses every 30 seconds, we simply don't have we don't have time and we don't make time to consider that carefully. So we're losing some of this empathy piece. So
we have like all of these different channels, we'll say, of possible communication.
And yes, very well said.
So, you know, and I sometimes I joke with people. I was like, "Oh, you want to get a hold of me? Yeah, just call my house phone or call my cell phone or go ahead and text me or message me on Messenger, or there's a Messenger thing on Twitter that you can just drop me a message on, or you could just go to my Instagram and you could post something, or you could go to my stories, or you can just direct message me, or voicemail, call my work phone, and it's overwhelming, and yet when somebody comes in and tries to communicate something via one of those things, and then you don't get it, it gets increasingly more difficult. So you're trying to manage all of these potential communication messages in the right way that they were intended. Absolutely. And it is getting more difficult, and it matters how we do that via sending or receiving and then resending.
Absolutely. And I think in a nutshell, the moral of the point of that story is that more is not always better communication.
Mm-hmm. No.
More is not better, and it's not more effective.
Mm-hmm. Like hockey, a lot of times, the more shots you take on goal, the more you're going to score.
Right.
Not so with communication.
Not so with communication. If the language that you're using, be it body language, words, pictures, whatever that is, if what you're using is not communicating effectively,
Right.
using more of the same is not going to communicate more.
No. It's one of those places in life where quality is better than quantity.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really.
So, when we're talking about this idea of empathy, how do we make this concept concise in the sense of what we feel in being able to understand what somebody else feels
Yeah.
is extremely important in communicating accurately.
Yeah. Absolutely. Consider the person on the other end of your communication. Really think about them as dealing with what their circumstances could be,
Yeah.
all those variables. And really think about them as a person and put yourself in their position and say, if I were receiving this, what are some different ways that I could receive this, or perceive this?
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, that's good.
That's going to change how we communicate.
Absolutely. So next one, we're going to talk about transparency.